Let's bring in Drew Brees, the Saints quarterback, joining us from San Diego. Did you hear about the overtime rule, Drew?
I did, actually. I just heard about it today.
What do you think?
Well, I'm not sure what the thought process was going into it, but I would just from what I see, I would disagree with it because I think more games are going to end in ties now. You know, that additional 5 minutes, especially with the way the rules change to where, in essence, both teams get a possession, right? Unless somebody goes down and scores a touchdown right away. So I think what we already saw with the new rules of, you know, if a field goal can't win it, you know, on the first possession, I think we've seen more ties. You know, I can think of at least 3 or 4 off the top of my head from the last few years that have resulted in ties based upon, you know, that new rule. So now make it to where it's just 10 minutes as opposed to 15. I think that changes things. You'll probably see more ties.
What do you think of college overtime rules?
I like it. I mean, it's exciting, right?
Yeah.
And you're limiting the number of plays as well. You know, when you give a team the ball at the 20-25 yard line and they, you know, they're already in the red zone, they're already in scoring position, whether it's a field goal or a touchdown, then I think you're reducing the number of plays. It's exciting for fans. You know, it's situational football. So I wouldn't be opposed to us doing something like that.
If I ask players to vote on it, how do you think that'd go over if we use college as opposed to the NFL's overtime rules?
I don't know for sure, but I think guys would be fine with it, especially since over time, guys are going to be coming from college to the pros, and it's just the same rule. You know, it's just a carryover of what they've been doing this whole time. I'm not sure what they do in high school or if it differs between states, but is that the rule in high school for a tie?
I don't know what overtime. Paulie? Do we know overtime rules for high school?
It depends by the state, but a lot of them do the college style 20-yard line, 25-yard line. You get the ball, and each team gets the ball.
So there you go. If you've been doing it since high school and it's the same overtime rules and there's uniformity there, then I think that's something the guys will really embrace.
I don't know why they don't just ask the players, but I don't know. Maybe they don't want to include you guys.
I say that about a lot of things, Dan.
Okay, if I said you could have input on one thing, one thing only, though, Drew, what would it be?
Well, I think Commissioner Discipline's probably the obvious one.
You got to move past that, Drew. That's a long time ago.
You said one thing. Well, is it still an issue?
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it is.
Okay.
Yeah. I just don't know how Sean Payton got docked $8 million. And did he?
In a full season.
Yes,
in a full season, and his reputation at the time. You know, which I think a lot of people have come to realize that was just a big sham. You know, in addition to a lot of other things. But I mean, listen, it's water under the bridge. It's gone.
No, it's not.
No. Well, no. I'm saying it's hopefully it's something that we can all look at, recognize. Not only that, but you know, look at what happened to the Patriots and Brady. Look at what happened with you know, the way that the Ray Rice case was handled and the Adrian Peterson and just a number of others. I just don't think anybody would trust a league-led investigation right now. There's no credibility there. There's no transparency, and so that's the problem. Is that, you know, we all know that there's an agenda at play, and that we don't have a say or any type of a voice with it, or certainly any type of oversight. So, you know, they're going to do what they want to do.
Talking to Drew Brees of the Saints, what'd you make of Giselle commenting on Brady's concussions?
I have no comment about that. That's their business.
If your wife went on the CBS morning show, do you think that would your wife spill something that maybe you wouldn't want her to spill?
Oh, she'd probably tell embarrassing stories about me.
But not health issues.
Not health.
Do you share that with your wife? If you come home from a game and you might be dinged or your bell rung, would you tell your wife?
No. I wouldn't want her to worry.
Yeah, I understand that, and that's what I thought. Does Brady say, "Man, I got hit," or "I got a headache," or "I got my bell rung," and that difference of that to a concussion, there's gray area there. But
yeah, Yeah, there is gray area.
Have you had a concussion and not known you had a concussion?
Well, it'd be hard because if I didn't know that I didn't know that I didn't know that I had a concussion, then
no, that you eventually did, Drew. That you eventually did.
Well, I'll say this. So I guess I've had one documented concussion, and that was back in 2004, the 2004 season when I was playing for the Chargers.
Okay.
And I obviously remember the event, the hit, and everything. And I knew that something was not right, and I knew that I was concussed. But I didn't take myself out of the game. I stayed in the game and played as long as I could until finally a coach pulled me aside and was like, I'm looking out for you here, and you're not going to play anymore because I know something's not right. And so, but if it wasn't for him, I wasn't pulling myself out of the game. And that's why it's hard to change that mentality for guys. That when you're in the heat of the moment, heat of the battle, and it's competitive, you do not want to pull yourself out. And so that's why the concussion protocols are in place where, you've got the INCs, the independent neurological consultants, and the trainers and the referees are supposed to be looking. Everybody's supposed to be looking. And when you see a guy that's, that's obviously, in that situation, man, you pull them aside, you make sure they get evaluated before they go back out and return to play. And if it's deemed that, hey, this is serious enough, then, man, you're out until further notice, which at times, we've seen with Luke Kuechly and some other guys that, hey, we'll sit them for 3 or 4 weeks to make sure that they are completely healed before they go back out there again.
And speaking of safety, Drew is helping launch the Heat Factor. It's an educational program designed to raise awareness here. Explain what exertion heat stroke is, so people are at least aware of this. Parents are. Sure.
Well, I think the best way to think about it, and we've created an acronym with just the term heat. So H is high temperature. Here we are approaching summertime. Temperatures are going to be rising across the country. Kids are getting out of school. They're getting involved in sports programs, camps, and just being outside and being active. So the H, high temperature. E, exercise or activity. A, acting confused, looking disoriented, maybe agitated. T, time to call 911. So we're really trying to educate people, raise awareness as to the signs and symptoms of EHS, or exertional heat stroke. It's the third leading cause of sudden death in high school athletes. If we can help, a recent poll said 70% of parents, teachers, coaches would not recognize the signs or symptoms of an EHS emergency. So if we're talking about something that's life-threatening, for kids, the more that we can be aware of it, the more we can all be educated, the less likely it is to happen, and therefore we're saving young people's lives.
For more information, theheatfactor.com. We talked about this a couple of times. Is there still heightism in the NFL?
Heightism?
Yeah, that
like the height of a quarterback.
Yeah,
I don't think so. Well, I think everybody is still kind of has this image of what a starting quarterback is supposed to look like. There's still the prototype. I think there's still the prototype at every position, honestly, depending on what system you're in and, what's that 3-4 outside linebacker or nose guard supposed to look like, But at the end of the day, it's about production, right? And it's about instincts, and it's about, a lot of other things that don't have anything to do with size or shape.
But I look at Isaiah Thomas of the Celtics, and it feels like he's not a franchise player to people because he's 5'8". If he was 6'2", then he could be viewed as, with the same stats, he would be a franchise player. I feel like that we do that. You're not known as a scrambler. You're not known as a runner. You're a pocket quarterback, and I think it baffles people that you're a Hall of Famer and you're able to do that, almost looking like, well, he's an anomaly. It just feels like we go out of our way to label people just because they don't fit into what we expect in certain positions in sports.
I agree. I think there's a certain perception, that some people just can't get past, and maybe that's just built upon years and years of what it's been ingrained in their minds as to what, talking about football specifically, like what a certain position is supposed to look like, Darren Sproles walks in a room and you say, there's no way this guy plays professional football. He's 5'7", but I'm telling you, he's one of the greatest athletes, greatest teammates, greatest work ethics to ever suit up. And so you just now is he an anomaly? I mean, he's the aberration? I mean, there's not many, if any, like him. But it doesn't mean they're not out there.
If I saw where I think it was Bob Greasy who talked about why don't we let quarterbacks inflate the footballs to their liking, and I've been saying that all along. And not to bring you into Deflategate as much as it is. If I said to you, you can control what you want air pressure wise with a football, and if you're playing against Aaron Rodgers, he can do the same.
I don't see anything wrong with that. And let's kind of give everybody a little history lesson here. So, back there was a period of time, I believe it was 2006. Prior to 2006, when you went and played at an opposing team's stadium, you played with their ball.
Yeah.
So you didn't have your own ball. You played with the ball that was provided by the home team. And basically, there were real limits and specifications as to like what that ball could look like, feel like. In many cases, it was basically like fresh out of the box. They did not allow you to do much to the ball to break it in. So I remember going to certain places, like you would dread going to certain places because you're like, God, I hate the balls they use. And so then in 2006, I believe it was Brady and Peyton Manning. I remember talking to Tom and Peyton about it, basically saying, hey, we should all be able to provide our own footballs, and basically break them in a little bit to our liking, and each team provides their own balls, and we use it that way. And so all the quarterbacks in the league kind of signed a petition, and we put that in front of the league, and they approved it. So that was the beginning of everybody just being able to provide their own football. And it's not like you could bring a ball to the game that looked like you'd played in the sandlot for 5 years with it, but you could at least break it in a little bit. So what's the difference then now if we did institute that rule, which was, hey, literally you can do whatever you want to the ball, just make it to where, you like it. You still gotta throw and catch it, I mean, it's not like it makes it that much more of an advantage. I mean, if everybody has the same advantage, then what's the problem?
Then it's not an advantage.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. No, I agree. And then, then it's full transparency. I know you have to run. I didn't even get in an Adrian Peterson question there, but good luck. Good luck with the you're not becoming a running team, are you?
Hey, listen, whatever it takes to win, man. Whatever it takes to win. If I get to hand to those two horses and watch them run and score touchdowns all day, then I'll be happy with that.
TheHeatFactor.com. Drew, thanks for joining us. Enjoy the summer with the kids. Thank you.
All right, thank you.
All right, that's Drew Brees.
The Dan Patrick Show, weekday mornings on Audience.